Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, based on where you are watching from, and welcome to another exciting interview. Today, my guest is Petra Drahoňovská, who is a career coach, and we are going to talk about careers and life abroad. Hi, Petra, I'm so excited to have you here, and I'm very happy that this interview is happening.
Hi, hello. Thanks for inviting me and having me here.
Yeah, so where to start? Maybe before we jump to the questions, I'm very excited, as you can see. Can you tell us a bit more about who you are? What is your story?
Okay. So as you said, I'm career coach, trainer, counselor, how you wish, because the description of this job is quite wide. Actually, what I do is helping people on their crossroads, in their careers, and I'm specialized for some bigger shifts, for some bigger career transitions. So, for example, when somebody is not only upskilling himself or herself, but as well, for example, reskilling, do some reskilling or requalification, how you wish to call it. This is sometimes, or this is the situation where usually, go through it every day. So people appreciate some support, some help, and maybe somebody who can get oriented them a little bit more. So it's not only about some like informational tips, how to describe your new skills at your curriculum vitae, but as well how you design your next steps, looking for your job, how to explain to other people around you why you do the transition. I mean, like the job transition. So this is what I do actually, and I work with individuals. I run some workshops and open trainings, or I do it for some organizations. And as well, as my brand says, I love to design my own tools online and as well, like let's say offline in paper version. So I design career diary, I call it, and some other tool which is helping kids and in the end of the elementary school to choose their next steps of the studying.
Hmm, thank you. And because this is the channel Intercultural Relationship Celebrate Your Differences, so whoever is watching, maybe you are wondering what we are talking about and how is it connected to relationship. So actually, I invited Petra because career is usually a huge topic for intercultural couples because one of them is in another country and usually career change plays a role and it can cause the relationship to break down. And Petra has interesting story as well. She's from Czech Republic. She lives partly in Czech Republic, but also works and lives in the United States. I hope I got it right.
In Mexico or Guatemala, a little bit more
Okay.
south, southern.
Okay. So Mexico and Guatemala. How did I
Yeah.
came up with the US? I don't know. So that's
Um,
even more exciting. So my maybe the first question is what are your personal challenges like living half the time in one country and then in the quite different culture like across the work, like how is it like when you work and live in two different continents basically?
mhm, mhm. Actually, maybe I'm not so brave as many people that they decide and just go almost next week or something like that. They pack their stuff and they just go. For me, it was some long process, let's say. When I used to be university student, the time started Erasmus programs, which right now is something super super common, and everybody who wants to go, they go. And that time when it started, so it's many years ago, how you can see, it was like more, it was a really strict selection procedure. So you had to apply, and actually only one who had the chance to go was somebody with some foreigner partners. They had better English than average of us. So it was something which was not what was not accessible for me. And that time I had a boyfriend there, so I was more maybe conservative in my mindset, and I was thinking, okay, part of me, I would like to go, but part of me, actually, I can't imagine to leave my boyfriend here for 6 months. It's too long, a long time. Right now, for me, 6 months. Okay, it's short time. It's like time runs really fastly. So the time, it was something that I started to think about, but I didn't realize anything actually. And then later, I started with some common normal job as a project manager in this field of education, later in that career guidance as an employee. And um, I started travel more outside of Europe. You know how it is, right? When you're student, you get enough time, but not you are short of money. So usually hiking and sleeping somewhere on the floor of flats of our friends. They were at that time at some Erasmus programs. But when you start working, it's vice versa. So usually you get a little bit more money, but less time. But still, my goal was the time start to exploring more other countries outside of the Europe. So we went with friends, usually like backpackers, to Asia and Africa, and then as well to the continent of America, both parts or all three parts. And I started like thinking how I can enlarge this time outside, how people do it. And that we talking about, let's say, 15 years ago, when the digital nomading was not common, and like the informational package you get right now when you like put to the Google working abroad or digital nomading, you got a lot of stuff. The time these informations actually didn't exist. So I started to thinking, and I started to sharing my thoughts with my friends, and I said to them, or I told them, uh, I would like to work somehow abroad, but I don't know how, because I don't want to move like for a long time period. And what you want to do, how you wish to do it, and what will you do? And that time I didn't have answer, but I just started having that vision. And it's changed when I started working on my own as a freelancer, which has been right now almost 11 years. So the time I saw that I can manage a little bit more time like by myself, and I started doing some small steps. So I still, as a like newbie freelancer, started still traveling as a backpacker. But then the changing point was in Guatemala when I met the Impact Hub. I don't know if your audience know the franchise of these co-working spaces. I think it's one of the largest one. It's called Impact Hub, and I'm member of this co-working space, which is cool. I like it a lot for the vibe and for the community around, which is as well in Prague, quite international. And I saw the same brand in Guatemala, in Antigua, and it was newly open. And I entered and asked them, okay, so you're going to open it? And yeah, in a couple of days, so come and you can try. And it was super nice, super cool place, because Guatemala Antigua is a UNESCO city, so it's super pretty nice. And also that house, when it was placed the same. And that time I started thinking it could be cool, maybe part of my work, it's more not that much connected directly with the client, so I need to write some preparation, prepare my presentation, as all this stuff. And usually I did it during the summer, when we as a trainers and coaches got usually lower season. So I started to thinking, okay, maybe I can start taking some Spanish classes, part of the day, and second part of the day I can try to work. So it would be for me. I decided to go first time, not for vacations to travel, but stay in one spot. And I think this was the breaking point, which changed my mind. And then I realized, wow, that's super cool. I don't need to see like many places during my holidays or these days out of Czech Republic. I can stay in one spot and still maybe more understand better culture, link better with the people. And then I got back for 3 weeks, then for 1 month, then for 2 months, and I started prolonging that, and started checking what's maybe bearable for my clients, what I'm able to explain, what I am able to manage financially and like as a time management. uh, and I realized that still be there 3 months there, and 3 months here, it's perfect. And I started because my last job as an employee, I used to work for the biggest Google partner company. So we started that time as well, like more than 10 years ago, with training online and these things and webinars. Right now, super common thing. That time, something rare a little bit. So I had this advantage. I was able to offer to my clients to try some online sessions, which part of them, they were a little bit scared, but okay, let's try it. I'm not sure, but let's try it. Some of them, they decided to wait for me, for example, this month, because that time already I had sort of like stronger brand. And also as well, I lost some clients. They didn't want to wait, and they weren't open to do it online. But I recommended to them some of my friends, like colleagues, which I know that they do the same level of quality of services. So actually, it was like step by step.
Mhm.
And then I combined like living and working in Guatemala and Salvador. Then I moved more from Guatemala, this couple of countries, more to Guatemala and Mexico, and I stay most of the time, last 4 years or 5 6 years more, yeah, 6 years, in the south of Oaxaca city, Oaxaca state.
Yeah, and what I hear there from your story is basically if we want to live and work abroad, we kind of probably need to think out of the box how to make it work and be a bit innovative and also be happy with the small steps basically that maybe
Uh-huh.
I think often we kind of expect, no, I will go there, I will find immediately job, it will start working immediately. But what I hear from you, like it was like slowly, and then like after you said like 6 years now you are going to same country.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I hear and what can I think be inspiration for the women maybe who are listening, that sometimes even I know it myself, it's not easy if you stay in one place and then you have to find job in one particular place and you have a family, right?
Yeah.
um, and that brings me, when we were chatting before this interview, you mentioned that the most common question you get, oh, do you go there every year because you have a partner or boyfriend there? So how do you respond to that?
Yeah, I start laughing because it's like super common question. And yeah, we were discussing it before, that it's quite like like stereotype, that people think that if girl decide to go abroad and work abroad, it's because of somebody, which is a little bit stupid, I think, or like it's too much like inside of us, like thinking like this way, that we like take it automatically. But on the other way, when you check the statistic of digital nomads, for example, you can see that there are a little bit more girls than boys, or it's almost the same amount or percentage. So it's like one thing. And actually, when honestly, when I travel by myself, I meet a lot of girls. They start traveling, backpacking on their own, and I think this is like, this is not necessary. Obviously, that there are so many people that they were relocated by their corporate companies, or they moved with their partners because of their job change. But when you decide to go on your own, maybe like start as a backpacker, it's good way, because you need to take all the responsibility, and you see how it's to get challenged by different situations, and be ready. Because one thing is when, for example, something happened to you, you are robbed, or I don't know what else. As a backpacker at your holidays, it's not nice experience, but still it's just holidays. But when you're responsible not for yourself and group of your friends, but as well for your clients, then you need to be ready to like solve it like fastly, and yeah, be more pragmatic. And actually, the advice, what I, for example, when we discuss this topic, because I do some workshops for some schools of high school students usually, or university as well sometimes. And this package of career abroad, it's super interesting right now for them. But what I see, they like, perceive it as something like super general topic. So okay, working abroad, it could be interesting, but when we start to precising what it means, we see that there are so many options, which is good. And actually this is the answer, or not, maybe I agree with you what you say, that there are so many options. So okay, I am this super brave girl or guy, decide to lock my flat and go tomorrow and look for a job just by myself outside of Europe. uh, Hard to say if like legally or illegally, if it's outside of Europe. Or I prefer to have some backup through some company and try to some work and holidays programs like this. Or I will wait and start my career in some some corporation, and then I try to be relocated. So and plus the digital nomading, which has as well super wide variety, because you can start with volunteering, for example, or you can work locally for somebody there, or you can work, as I do mostly, actually from that countries outside. I work usually for clients from Europe. So
Mm.
so huge variety. And I think it's important that people right now minimally to see the variety, because it means that for, I think for everyone, is there some way, if you're brave, if you're more crazy, if you're more conservative, so always this way
Mm.
if you wish.
Yeah, and I love this so much, and I'm so happy you brought it up, like this options, like because I think I have it also in somewhere in the back of my head, this like older kind of way of thinking. When I am in some time, I have to go start going around the companies which are in the town, and as you said, like thanks to globalization and maybe like now the world basically has gone completely online because of the COVID, and there are so many options, like you can do your own business, you can work from some other company online, you can like have a combination. And actually when I think of it, like what kind of jobs my clients do, there is everything. There is their own business, they are working for somebody, for international organization, they are working for local organization, NGOs, church, like all these options. And I am so happy that you actually like pointed it out, that
Yeah.
sometimes we feel like we don't have options, but actually then when we dig a bit deeper, we realize we actually have options. So that's very optimistic, and I feel already also like happy for many women who are maybe struggling with this right
Yeah.
now.
And maybe talking about the boyfriends and partners thing, actually, right now with as well the, okay, COVID sucks definitely, but it brought us some like good things, which is more open approach, maybe from the side of the companies, that they let us more people to live to work remotely. And so for example, what I see from side of our clients, for example, I, because part of my time I dedicate to some NGO, which is which called Chiquitas, and it's a organization which supports especially women and girls to go IT. And what it means that we offer some requalifications to the data analyst or data analytics, web design, and testing. And there are so many motivations. But as well, sometimes I see that, for example, with international couples, when they expect, not just for example the girl, that okay, I expect that I need to move with my boyfriend when he will get a better job or different, but they expect, for example, that maybe they were more circulated and they will live in more countries because of the career of both, or just one. And sometimes some of my clients, they are like thinking in long-term perspective that okay, maybe it's good to add to my skill set something based on technologies, because it could help me in the future whenever what happened or whatever will happen, that I could be ready, and more, I would have more options to choose in the future.
Mm.
So the technologies and upskilling, even though for example you are, I don't know, teacher, or you baker or whatever, mixture with the new technologies always helps. So because then you can get more options how to work.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, this is when people ask me like, what is the most like pros and cons of living abroad? Like, because and I lived in some places which are kind of remote, like in Uganda or even here in Zambia, or then I was based 6 months in Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia. And what
Mhm.
I always say, what I enjoy about like these completely different countries, that sometimes your favorite things are not there, so you have to like again think out of the box and just try what is available. Like for example, in Mongolia I was going for salsa lessons, or when I lived in a refugee settlement here in Zambia I started learning French because I have like no other option, but it like kind of broaden up my perspective. And it's basically what you are saying, that maybe we move abroad and I don't know, we are a teacher, but then we see there is this programming course for women and we kind of change what we are doing. Or even me, what I'm doing, like I have spent basically most of my life doing humanitarian aid and development. And now I went into coaching, relationship coaching, and I have
Mhm.
this channel.
Mhm.
So it's actually, I think, stepping out of our comfort zones and broadening our perspective. It's a huge part of it. And I'm happy you brought it up.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, what I want to say, it's not about like mixture couples, like from international environment. It's actually the advice, I think, absolutely like applicable for everyone. So it's never-ending process, and it's good to be ready before something will happen. And actually, it's my approach at my work that I try to like show the more approach how to think about the career steps than. Um, and not just be surprised and shocked and in some like bad emotions when something would happen. For example, you are got fired, or for example as well you are a little bit pushed by your partner that okay, we have to move because of my career. So when that time, which is usually emotionally really hard to deal with, start to thinking first time about these things, it's harder. Obviously you can get or reach your goals as well, but when you start like when you take it as a long life approach, then you would be more prepared and more, let's say,
Hmm.
anti-fragile, as said Taleb, for example,
Yeah.
in his book.
Mm. And I think you perhaps already touched on the answers to my last question, which was because, yeah, like as you said, it's a bit of stereotype that when women live abroad, it's because of the partners, but there are like lots of women who moved for their partners, and both of the options are completely fine. So, what would be your advice to women who move abroad because of their partner? Like, what would be your advice career-wise? Because as I mentioned in the beginning, careers and jobs and basically money, it can be one of the reasons why the
Mhm.
relationship doesn't survive. So, what
Mhm.
would be your advice concerning
Mhm.
this?
So first, what I said actually, maybe get ready before the situation would happen, and start to think about these things in long-term perspective. The second, have something yours, some your thing, because I can imagine it, and I saw it around when, because in these places I stayed or I stay, there are so many international couples. So and it's. And many times it ends up as you said. So because for example they start just live from they love, if I can say it like this, but it's not sufficient in long-term perspective. And it's important that from the beginning the girl has something hers, and it could be her volunteering, it could be if she's fine with the money, it could be her own business, even small one. It could be keeping or stay in touch with the business in Czech Republic, even though on the distance. So I think this not not because of the love, just take these things on the second trail, if I can say it like this way.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think this what you said, it's so important from two different perspectives. One, if we move to another country, like we need to start creating our own social network. We can't be with our husbands all the time because then we would get crazy, right? So this is usually like a job or volunteering is the first place where you meet other people.
Mhm.
And then secondly, the independence, because you never know what happens, and we always go to the relationship that it will last forever, but life happens, right? And I remember I have a friend, like she's American. She was married for a Zambian for a long time. And in the beginning, when we met, she gave me this advice. She said, like, always have about at least like $4,000 in your bank account. If something goes wrong, you will like be able to afford flight tickets, you will be able to afford like healthcare fees, you will be able to live with this money for a few months, whatever, you never know. So this is, I think, like what you said, it's so important to have something ours from the social perspective, and also like the kind of independence perspective.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And actually, it's not just about like internet, like living abroad. I think in general, because I part of my clients there through some NGOs, from some like shelters for women, they escaped from the violent environment in their families. And for example, the girls, they had like, or they have good education, they earned in the past good money, but because of the maternity leave, they just lost the access to their accounts, and then they escape from their homes like with some plastic backpack back, and that's it. So I think, and more difficult is the situation in the environment you don't know. And I see it, even though, for example, I've been living in Mexico, for example, for 6 years right now, still, and I got some friends, etc. Still, it's not your country. Still, there are so many things you don't know, like the subtle things and relations and institutions, institutional support. So absolutely, like from your like inner peace, I think, even though, because maybe it sounds right now, maybe somebody's listening us, and she or he is maybe in love, and okay, we are pessimistic or more maybe too much pragmatic, but yeah, it's necessary to be pragmatic, I think. And then if you got your backup in all cases, in career, in love, in everywhere, you decide differently because you've got this inner peace, and you know, like, okay, I got my plan, let's say not B but Z, and it always will work. So then you're not freaked out that much because of some like harder decisions. So
Yeah, thank you for pointing that out, that actually when we have this backup, we are free to decide the best options. When we don't have, maybe we don't have this freedom in decisions. And I think that's like a perfect ending for this interview. It was really, really interesting. And I enjoyed talking about this, because I think this is the topic we don't talk that much, and it's very important. And I think we could go on and on. When if people are curious, like how like your works looks, because you mentioned like you do lots of things, like you work with like one-on-one clients, you have some apps like for careers, you do very many interesting things. So if somebody is curious what you do, or if somebody would want to work with you, how they can find you.
Perfect. First of all, thanks for having me here. It was for me, it was fun, but I hope that not only, and for your audience, they could find some useful information. And about how to reach me, it's definitely, I'm very active on LinkedIn. So Petra Drahonievská on LinkedIn. I think I'm not sure if there are more people with the same name, maybe, but
I will put the link under the video, so
yeah,
it's
it
easy.
will be nice. And definitely my website, careerdesigner.cz, but there is some flag for changing languages, so there is some there is English version as well. So yeah, you're welcome.
Awesome. So I will put it under the video. And yeah, thank you again, and have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
Bye.